Hey, welcome to the Youth Podcast from St. Catherine's Church. We hope you are encouraged and inspired. If you would like to contact us more, please email us at info@stcatharines.ie.
Well, hey, welcome back to another episode of the Youth Podcast here at St. Catherine's Youth, part of St. Catherine's Church in Dublin, Ireland. And today we are going to be having a conversation about what's going on in our world. We are not hiding from the fact that there has been a tragedy in recent weeks of the death of George Floyd. If you have not heard or seen it, then you must be living under a rock. But it's been all over social media, it's been all over the news. And this is just another highlight of many tragedies around the world over many, many years of the reality of racism. And I want to say loud and clear that racism, unfortunately, still exists, still breeds, is still active. And it's not just an American problem, it's a global problem, and it's here, it's in front of us, and we need to deal with it, and we need to talk about it. And so today I'm taking some time to have a conversation with a friend of mine, a former young person in our youth ministry who has now come on to be a youth leader, which is really exciting, who I really admire, and I know a lot of our young people do too, for many, many reasons. But today I have Debbie on with me. How are you, Debbie?
I'm great, thanks. How are you, Shane?
I'm good. Thanks for giving up your time to do this.
No problem.
I guess just to get us started, what would be, I guess, your initial thoughts on what's happening, on what you're reading and seeing all across social media and the news?
It's honestly very distressing to hear about it and to see what's going on. And initially, when it was on the news, a lot of people and myself were like, it's another police brutality attack. And a lot of people were upset, and especially myself. And I was upset to see another story like this be on the news. But then to watch the news, see the whole situation uncovered, and see how he was treated and how it was caught on video, that really upset me. And I feel like now it's just been a really dark time for a lot of people, especially myself, because when you look on TV and you see it on the news, it's not just George Floyd you see. A lot of people will be seeing their cousins, their nephews, their uncles, their fathers, their friends, their brothers. So it is a really emotional and distressing thing to hear about.
Yeah, totally. Um, and I want to obviously state right from the beginning that I am in no way saying that I get it or I have an understanding of it. I don't. I am learning. I am listening. I am trying my best to stand with people that I love and care about,
Yeah.
that look different than me and have a different color skin. And so for me, I guess it's really important to hear that when you see something like that, you address it as someone's family member and someone's son or
Yeah.
nephew or father or whatever it may be. And I even think of, reading on the social media today about, Gianna Floyd, who was his daughter, saying daddy changed the world, which was a really powerful message, but he changed the world with the cost of his life.
Yeah.
And that's something people have to remember when they see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on.
It's just very painful, and I really feel for the little girl, especially because one day her father is there And then the next day, because she was like, even her mother was on the news, and she was talking about the interview and how she found out her father passed away. Because the little girl, she went up to her dad, and she went up to her mother, and she was like, "Daddy's name's all over the TV. What happened?" And that's just really emotional, and it's really painful to hear and see that a little child had to find out that their parent lost their life on TV, and has to witness the video being on the news constantly, on and on. And it just really touched me, because even when you're not related to people and it's not affecting you directly, I just kept seeing it like another family member, another brother, or another cousin or nephew or something. So it's really touching, and it's just been really distressful.
Yeah, totally. And I think, I want whoever's listening to this to know, if you haven't kind of figured it out already, or caught up by the caption or the image that we use to post this on Spotify and Apple and even YouTube. Debbie, it has a different color skin than I do. She's a black person, and that's your family. Do you want to tell us a little bit about where you're from, and yeah, a little bit about that?
Yeah, my parents are originally Nigerian. They emigrated to Ireland in 2001, and I was born in Ireland in 2001. And we've been living here. Well, my mum's been living here for the last 19 years, and I've been here for the last 18 years with my sister. And it, and it's just been like, it's been good. And I think that, like, background and like family wise, like being here, I just thought that like we were welcomed well. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear, and yeah, I just think that's important, and that people recognize, um, because I want to share this, and we wanted to kind of bring this to light as well, that racism just doesn't exist in America. It's a global problem, and it
Yeah.
is alive and at work in Ireland. Unfortunately, it is there. It's present, and this is why I think we really wanted to have a conversation, is to highlight that for others, because you've experienced this in some way, and
Yeah.
maybe if you feel comfortable, you'd like to tell us some stories about your experience with racism in Ireland.
In living here, overall, I think it's been a good experience being in Ireland, but there has been the odd time where I've experienced racism. And it's unfortunate, because Irish people are very welcoming. And it's really unfortunate to see that there are a small group of people who try to tarnish the image of Irish people and give them a bad name. And I've had a few experiences, like even like being in playgrounds and having people call me names because of the color of my skin, or being a little child in like primary school and having kids not share with me because of the color of my skin. And that's all stuff that happened when I was younger. And it's all like little stuff. But as you get older, you start to see it happen more and more. Like sometimes even going into shops and having a security guard follow you around when you literally have walked in the door, or walking into a room and having everyone turn and stare at you. So it can be little things. And just thinking back and looking back at some of the experiences, it does really hurt, you know, because it's no lie that people look different, and other people can have different skin color. But what does hurt is when that's seen as a target, or when the color of your skin is seen as something to make you an outlier in society, you know. And I know it's not as extreme as it is in America here, but racism does exist. And in America, your skin color is either a death sentence sometimes, but over here, your skin color can also make you a target of certain things. Because even when you look at the statistics, 32% of Black people have reported experiencing racism in this country. And also, 1 in 5 Black people have experienced discrimination in the workplace, you know? And it's not just in the workplace, it happens on sports teams. Like, I've played basketball matches and I've been marking someone, you know, playing defense on basketball. And I may have like walked in front of someone to block the ball, and then they'd walk away angrily and call me a name. So it happens everywhere, and it may be little things, but it does happen, and it is alive. So yeah.
Yeah, I hope whoever kind of is listening to this can somewhat, I guess, imagine the stories that you're telling us. You know, I feel like it's always important to get a picture of what that actually looks like, and you know, maybe in some way then you can actually see that happening in your everyday life, and
Yeah.
where that may come up for you, the listener who is, you know, I don't know what your background or the color of your skin is, whoever's listening to this, but you know, I do want to make sure that you're aware of it, you know, and again, Debbie, you know, you've heard me say this, but you know, I apologize for whatever has happened
Mm.
in the past and what may happen today and what may continue to happen tomorrow. You know, I think all of us need to examine ourselves, um, you know,
Yeah.
check our hearts, with all of this. And, you know, I think, you know, a lot of people have been talking about the fact that, you know, this was brought up in the media. And I think, you know, Will Smith has this quote, you know, that racism, um, what does he say? Racism has always been alive. It's just been filmed. You
Yeah.
know, it's just finally been caught on camera. And I would also add to that I think racism is alive. It's just subtle. And
Yeah.
people have to recognize even the smallness. You know, even the little mutter, what's the word? Mumble under your
Yeah.
mouth about something like that. You know, that matters, and you know, calling that out and speaking on it, and you know, that has to be what we do. We have to be better. We
Yeah.
have to do better, in all of this.
100%.
Um,
And one of the things that I will take away from my experiences is that in every experience I've had with racism, there was always people there to stand up and defend me. People of different races and different backgrounds would still stand forward and say, here, that's wrong, stop that. And I think
mm,
what we need to take from people's experiences, whether Black, whether white, whether Asian, people of every race and background, what we need to take from their experiences is that we need to know to stand up and to speak out, and that we need to encourage people to stand up, because being silent is just as bad as being like racist. Because if you look at like scenarios where like playground bullying or something, and then there's the one person who's bullying, then there's bystanders. If you're not going to report it, how do you expect change to happen? If you're going to stay silent, how do you expect change to happen? But when that one bystander speaks up and turns against the bully, there's unity and they're able to fight the problem and stop it. So I think that's what we need to see more in society.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I feel like, you know, I think it's important to add, to what you're saying. You know, I think we need to find out how we can play our part, how we can together, you know,
Yeah.
respond to this. I do believe, you know, there is power in unity, and I think, you know, the last few days, what's been happening on social media, is a key factor in all of that, and I think it helps. But I don't
Yeah.
think it's the end all be all. I don't think that's the full stop. I don't think that's all we should be doing. And I think if anyone is in that mindset that you can just post a picture on Instagram and put a
Yeah.
hashtag with it and feel like you're doing your part, then you're wrong. And we need
Mm.
to address that there's more that we can do. There's more to do, and I think you need to find the right people, the right organizations, the right places to either donate to. If you've got funds or anything like that, you need
Yeah.
to find the right places, and that you can do that. Again, if you're a young person listening, it's about finding the place that you can serve, that you can give time to, that you can give energy to, that you can
Yeah.
point people to. That's the part you need to recognize, and all of this. And so, yeah, that just kind of brings me to one of the questions we were talking about earlier, and you've been helping me out, is how do we educate young people? How do we help them find the right resources for all of this?
Um, I feel like the best ways to educate yourself is to read a lot of like information you can get from reading. Like there are a lot of really good um authors who are people of color, reading their novels and reading their experiences. Like there's a really good author, Amanda Adichie. She wrote a book called Americana. That's really good because she talks about her experiences. Because when you read a book from another person's perspective, you're reading it as if you are that person, and you're seeing their experiences, and then also listening to people when they speak, because it can happen with little things. Like a person can tell you what happens and you could be like, no way is that true. Like that's a first step to discouragement. You're not giving people a chance to say what's happening and to listen. And I feel like the best places to get your information is through other people's experiences and looking at, especially like checking online pages as well that are anti-discrimination, pages online that will talk about the facts and show you evidence on what's going on. So I feel like those are the best places to get information and to educate yourselves. And I also feel like if you continue to like give yourself an open mind and allow yourself to absorb information that people are telling you, then it's just going to help you in the long run to stay educated on what's going on, and like watching the news and just keeping up to date with the facts.
Yeah, I think everything you said there is so helpful. And I think my posture over the last kind of couple of weeks, in regards to everything I've read and seen and heard, has just been to listen. I
Mm,
think there's so much power in listening. I think often or not, people just want to speak up, have their say, be heard. But I think right now, people need to listen, and people need to have a posture that says, I want to listen.
yeah,
I've called people, and I've texted people, and I've been watching stuff all over YouTube and the news, and just trying to listen and to learn. I think that's a great way right now to educate yourself. Um, um, the
yeah,
second thing is, I was going to say as well, is that, in St. Catherine's, in our church anyways, it's a very diverse group of people. And I can say, as the youth
yeah,
pastor here, we have a very diverse group of young people, from all different backgrounds, of all color. And it is a beautiful picture of the kingdom of God, and not just of the
yeah,
kingdom of God, but of humanity, and how I believe God designed it to be in his image. And I want to say I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud that that's who we are. And
yeah,
I also, with saying that, I would also like to apologize in some way to not talk to not have talked about this enough in the past. I think as much as we want to
yeah,
celebrate the fact that we are making advancements, that we are moving forward, that in our small group of young people at St. Catherine's Youth, that there is this picture of all these different varieties, and how God designed it to be, and we celebrate that and we love that, and it's our
Yeah.
normal. We still need to point out the fact that in our world, in our everyday world, these guys and girls in their schools, in their streets, as they go into a restaurant, are still feeling this pain and reality of
Yeah.
racism and discrimination. And I think,
Mm.
again, I want to, one, listen, and I'm going to continue to listen and learn as much as I can. But at the same time, I'm going to speak up and I'm going to say something, and I'm going to,
Yeah.
again, I don't know everything. And I can't say everything either, because I'm not as educated as I should be on this. But at the same time, I don't have to sit aside and wait for somebody else to come along. I can still play my
Yeah.
part. And I think that's the second thing I'd like our young people to know in our community. If the color of your skin is white, or yeah, if your color of your skin is white, that you can still say something. Again, you don't have to know everything, but you can say something. You can do something. You can add your voice. And this is also, again, we'll get to being a Christian in a moment, but I just also want to state the fact that, again, this doesn't have to be when everything arrives on social media. This
Yeah.
has to be when you're hanging out in the park, or you're walking through the shops, and your friend who has a different color skin than you faces this reality of being
Yeah.
discriminated. That's the moment there where you rise to the top. That's the moment where you get to speak up
Mm.
and stand up, and you get that moment that you would want and you desperately would wait for it. Like when we watch Hollywood movies and we wait for that moment where the superhero comes and he does the big momentous rescue and saving. Can I just say, your
Yeah.
moment is when you're walking down the street with your friend, and somebody says something silly. That's when
Yeah.
your moment is going to come. And so I want every young person who is
100%.
part of our community that listens to this to hear me when I say that. Be ready, because they exist in our everyday lives, and you need to be part of the solution and not the problem.
That's so true. And people think that they need, like, going to protest is helpful, but it's not a need. Donating money is very helpful, but it's not a need. Every little helps. Like, if you have a friend who's being talked about behind closed doors, defend them, speak up for them. Let it be a situation where someone is not looked down upon because of the color of their skin, but they're looked down upon because of the closed-mindedness that they have, so that the roles are reversed,
Mm.
so that we now stand and we have unity with people of minority groups. Because there comes a point where there's so much bad in the world that people's eyes just open and they're like, no, this is enough. And I really feel, and it's unfortunate that George Floyd had to lose his life, but he did not die in vain. I really feel that his death has been a turning point. To look online and to see all the people marching and standing together. And what really shook me is that countries that wouldn't be too affected were standing up, like Ireland as well. We, like, police brutality here isn't nowhere near as bad as America, but we still took to the streets and we still stood. Sweden has a really, really small um, black population, and they still took to the streets and stood up. And that's really what we need now, because I personally, as a black person, what I feel is that black people are not expecting white people to understand or know the whole truth. We know, and we know how hard it can be to understand something you've never been through. We're not asking for empathy, because empathy is feeling sorry for someone based on an experience that you have had. But we understand you have not had this experience. We just want sympathy. We want you to have compassion and understand. And this goes for everyone, to understand that I may not have gone through this, but I know if I was in your shoes, I would not want this to happen to me. So I'm not going to let it happen to you. Because until we stand up and stand together like unity from all sides, then racism is going to still be here. So the more we stand up, the more we speak out, the better chance we have of getting rid of it. Because we don't want to live in a world where our kid's best friend might not be allowed to go somewhere or may have to walk a certain way or act a certain way before they can have the same opportunities someone else had. We don't want to live in a world where certain people only have to run 100 meters to get to their destinations and some kids have to run a kilometer. It's not fair. So that's really all people want, just unity and standing up and educating others. If you see a really good post that speaks about injustice in the world, if you see posts like that, share on social media. We can't go out during quarantine, but social media is our best friend to spread stuff, awareness, and educate others. That's the best thing we can do, being an ally.
You're so inspiring, Debbie, and
Thank you.
no, you are, and I hope people hear that online. Yeah, I hope whoever's listening to this can hear, the fact that you're so wise for such a young person, and I'm an advocate for the older guys like us to listen to young people and to listen to what they have to say. I do believe you have something to say. Your voice is important, and I thank you that you have took the time out to um to 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 know your facts, to learn and to find out the necessary information to help people, um, to find out the right resources and to help them. And again, this all comes from a place of your experience and your pain and your hurt and your family's pain and your family's hurt and your friends' pain and
Yeah.
your friends' hurt. And sometimes it takes that in order to get to a place where you can have a platform
Mm.
to share with others on how to deal with things like this.
Yeah.
And so thank you for being willing enough to share and to say the things that you've said. We don't obviously want to close this off without talking about being a Christian in all of this and what it means to follow Jesus. Now we can obviously say right from the get-go that Jesus um, always stood for justice.
Yeah.
He was totally against any injustice, and he will always speak up for those who were the marginalized, who were um, feeling the oppression. He would
Yeah.
always have something to say. Again, that goes for all lives. But I do want to also recognize that right now we're talking about Black lives, and I believe
Yeah.
Jesus is in this. He's present in this, and I think he teaches a lot on it. What
Yeah.
has that been like for you, being a Christian in all this?
As a Christian, I feel like the Bible really does give us a good moral grounding and a good structure in faith and everything. And I feel like being a manual for life, it touches on all aspects of life and society. And it really speaks about discrimination and how to tackle it. And it's made very clear that we should judge people not by appearance, but by fair judgment. And I feel like it's something that's not as talked about in some churches. I feel like it's something that does need to be spoken about because we come to church as young people and we're taught the way of life and we're educated and our brains are like sponges. We soak it in. But I feel like a lot of people try to struggle with trying to apply the Bible to discrimination in today's world because it hasn't really been spoken about. And I feel that as Christians, we live by Jesus. And Jesus is an advocate for me, for you, for everyone. He's our advocate in heaven. And as Christians, and being the honest people that we are and should be, we have to advocate for the justice that he advocated for back then. And we have to stand up for injustice because I feel like racism is sin. It really is a sin because you're looking at the creation of God. You're looking at God's work and you're deciding what's good enough and what's not good enough. And as God being the impartial person he is, us showing partiality isn't really good, and it isn't a good reflection on what we believe in and what we follow. So I feel like if it was spoken about more, it would really help a lot of young Christians, especially like myself, because I I wasn't too sure about if the Bible talked about discrimination, but when I read it more and looked into it, I saw it, and a lot of people aren't too aware of that. So I feel like as Christians, just so that our moral grounding is strong, I feel like if we talk about that and really go into the whole loving your neighbor as yourself and applying that to today's world, it will really help other people.
Yeah, you said it all right there. And I think, yeah, I think what you said is that, we need, as Jesus followers, to
Mm.
point out and to address the injustice
Yeah,
that is happening. And again, like I said before you shared just there, that injustice is all around us. Whether it's
yeah,
racism or it's something else, it is there, and we are to call that out. We are to speak on it. We are to
yeah,
and somewhat play our part. And one of the things we're trying to figure out, I guess, one as a youth ministry and as a church, is how do we take steps from here? How do we take social action from here? That doesn't just come from the pulpit on a Sunday, but it rolls out into the streets and into everyone's hands and feet, that they can do something. And yeah, again, I'm excited to see what that looks like. But I think it needs to
yeah,
happen fast, and I think it needs to happen quick. And I think as we figure that out, we also need to find ways to participate and collaborate with others, and to
yeah,
um, yeah, and to even donate if we can.
mm,
I think that makes such a difference, and I'm glad that today and over the past few weeks that there has been an awareness raised
yeah,
around the work that's being done every week, of every year, by many organizations and movements across the world.
yeah,
And I think now is the time to now donate, to give, and to show that you want to play your part with those people, because they are doing the work. They're doing the work that we need to do. And I think it's
yeah,
important that we, as Christians, play our part in all of that. Um,
100%.
so So look, of course, this probably won't be the end of our conversation on this topic. It'll probably happen again and
Mm,
again and again. And
yeah,
we're not here to post something on a Tuesday and stop talking about it on a Wednesday. We will continue to
yeah,
bring this to the surface. We will continue to talk about it as much as we can. And if you are a young person in our community, um, whatever your background, whatever the color of your skin, if you've got questions, if you've got concerns, if you've got things on your mind that you would like us to journey with you and help kind of work those things out, please get in touch. You can email me, Shane at stcatharines.ie. You can get in touch through our WhatsApp communities, by just letting us know on Instagram. We can get you connected there. But we want to do our part. We want to play our part. We will not be silent on something like this. Again, as I close out today, Debbie is an incredible young woman who deserves to have the same worth and value placed on her life that I do as a young white male in this world. And I think I believe the same for all of my friends who are of different color than me. I grew up with some of my best friends, the color of their skin being black. I have never
yeah,
saw them as different. Um, have I witnessed racism in front of me? Yes, I have. Have I shown better? Yes, I have. Sorry, have I shown better? Should I have done better? Yes, I should have, and I apologize for not. doing it, and I recognize that for me to make a difference and to be part of the solution, I need to speak up and I need to say something. And I am again apologizing, like I did before, for the fact that we didn't call this out sooner, that we didn't make sure every individual feels seen and heard, and that their everyday life experience that it shouldn't go unnoticed. And we should be playing our part to speak on it as leaders and pastors. And so again, young people, if you'd like to know more, if you'd like to get in touch, if we can help in any way, please reach out. With this podcast, we will provide some links for you that you can find some resources, like Debbie shared, some books, some articles, some things on social media, and some places that if you wanted to donate, or as a family you wanted to donate, we can make that available to you. But for today, thank you, Debbie, for being on with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're very, very welcome. And I know we will have you on again to talk lots more about this, about other topics and things in our world. But we just want to finish this out by saying, if you would like to get in touch about anything that we've shared, please do. We're praying for you, praying for the world, and we're here to take a stand and to play our part. We'll see you guys soon on the next episode. Thanks.
Hey, welcome to the Youth Podcast from St. Catherine's Church. We hope you are encouraged and inspired. If you would like to contact us more, please email us at info@stcatharines.ie.